Good morning, everyone. It's 7 in the morning, and I've just finished the night shift. And instead of going home to sleep, I have to pop into Human Resources to sign some papers, so I thought I'd take a little walk and chat about what's been going on with me in the meantime. So my last update was a long time ago. It was back, I think, when I was still in the US, and a lot has happened since then. So first of all, I'll talk about the non-USMLE US stuff, and then I will kind of catch you guys up on where and what I've been doing. So it's September 15th today, or 14th, somewhere around there. Night shifts always throw me off a little bit. And I got back to this country about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Since then, I started working at the emergency department as something called a non-training physician. I basically work and see patients under supervision alongside the residents, and the time that I spend in the ER is not counted towards any specific residency training. That's why it's called a non-training position. So that's what I've been doing. I've had 4 or 5 shifts so far, I think. It's been really great, a huge steep learning curve, a lot of little tidbits with like documentation and stuff like that, writing notes and referring patients and getting consults. So it's been quite a bit of a learning curve. But it's been fun, and I am very happy to be out there and treating patients. It's been great. But that's only one aspect of my life. Then the other thing that's been taking up a lot of my energy is the ERAS and the application to residency itself. So let's break it down into a few main points. My main goals were to do my personal statement, finish up my medical student performance evaluation, or MSPE, do my ERAS CV, and finally get my letters of recommendation. All of this has been proving to be a lot more challenging than I had previously anticipated. So first of all, with the ERAS CV, I've been lucky enough to be offered a review from, or like an editing service from Match Resident by Residency Experts. So Residency Experts is kind of like a partner company of Match Resident. And what they do is they read through your ERAS and make edits to make it more concise, to make it sound better, to make it sound more professional, and so on. So my original plan for that was to get it submitted to Residency Experts by September 1st so that they would have more than enough time to go through it, and then I could, check their edits and make changes as needed. Well, I failed that deadline very hard. I wasn't able to submit it until around September 9th or 10th because what I realized was that ERAS takes a massive amount of time. It's not your typical CV or resume. You actually have to write pretty descriptive captions or little blurbs about each of the things that you're putting in there. So it actually takes quite a lot of time. And then add in trying to make it sound professional and interesting and useful to your education, and it's really very hard to do. So I'm very glad that I had that earlier deadline than, let's say, September 29th, which is the submission date for ERAS, because it showed me that it takes a really long time to do it, and otherwise, if I didn't have the earlier deadline for Residency Experts, I might not have realized that I need to put way more effort into this than previously expected. So anyway, I submitted that to Residency Experts a few days ago, and within 2 days they already got back to me with their edits, which I will be honest, I haven't had time to review just yet. But from flipping through it, I could see that they made quite a bit of edits. A lot of them were more technicalities, so just sounding more professional, not using abbreviations like ED, but writing out emergency department and stuff like that. And then other things were things to just make it sound more concise, more coherent, have a better flow, stuff like that. So if I get a chance, I want to show you guys what those before and after edits look like. But then let's talk about the other part, the personal statement. So the personal statement's really hard to write for 2 reasons. 1, it's very personal. There is no right way to write it. Everyone's is going to be different. But 2, it's very powerful in the right setting, and if you use it well. And I have a lot of things I want to say to residency programs, a lot of which doesn't fit into that one page. So most of my personal statement editing has been trying to cut it down to fit into the allotted space without neglecting any of the important details. So I just want to tell you guys about my work, or like my framework for the personal statement, in case it might be useful to somebody else. The way that I was thinking of doing it was, 1, start with a hook. Just get them interested, get them reading, get them wanting to know more about you. Then 2 is to explain why you're choosing that specialty. For me, it was talking about why emergency medicine. I intertwined with that a little bit one of my so-called red flags, which is that I am an international medical graduate. And I wrote about why I decided to go abroad, even though I'm a US citizen. So we're in the mall right now, and I don't know if the audio is going to be good enough, so I'm going to check, and if it's good, I'll keep talking. Otherwise, we'll have to wait a little bit. So the music was way too loud in there. There was no way I could have kept talking. So anyway, the personal statement, we've got the hook, then we've got why you want to go into that specialty. So for me, I intertwined that with a little bit of one of my so-called red flags, which is the fact that I'm an international medical graduate. And since I have a pretty good reason for studying abroad, like studying outside of the US, I decided to use a little bit of my personal statement to explain why I chose to study outside of the US. Then after that, I wanted to talk about 2 very important things. So item number 3 is what I'm looking for in a residency program. I'm looking for XYZ training, or I'm looking for someone who's very, very strong in ultrasound, what have you. And then the 4th and final part that I used was why I would be a good fit for the program, or what I would bring to your program. So that could be anything like, I'm a compassionate person, I have very good attention to detail, I'm dedicated to my work and my patients, and so on. So that's how I laid out my personal statement. So far I've had my mom read it. She made some very useful comments, and then I had a friend of mine who's a first-year resident also read it, and his comments were great because he's been through the process, so he knows what it's like. And next I'm going to send it to residency experts, and we'll see what the experts say. I'm really excited because it's been a lot of tweaking and fine-tuning this personal statement, and I'm ready for it to be done and not have to think about it anymore. But anyway, so that's the personal statement. Then for the medical student performance evaluation, that's something that's done by our school, and it's actually quite stressful because it's not something I can control, so it's kind of out of my hands. And unfortunately, it's not done very easily by our deans, and not a lot of people at my school apply to the US. They're not very familiar with the whole process. So it takes a little bit of communicating back and forth and relying on the administrators to upload the stuff. So it's a bit stressful. And then finally, I've got the letters of recommendation. So I'll talk about that after I've reached my destination on my way home. So then the 4th, I think, and final thing that's been on my mind related to applications to the US residency is the letters of recommendation. So I have a standardized letter of recommendation from an EM residency program, which is this ESLO that a lot of programs look for within my specialty, which is great. It's huge. It was very hard to get in the pandemic, so I'm really grateful that I have that. And then I'd like to get 2 other letters. One of them is from my observership that I did a few weeks ago, and for that, they've asked me to do an in-service exam, which is kind of like a shelf exam, but it's not the official NBME shelf. It's multiple choice questions. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours of emergency medicine cases. So in all honesty, I should have been studying for that, but I haven't had the time. So I'm pretty nervous about this exam. I scheduled it for the 15th. The audio on this video is just going to be terrible. So I scheduled the exam for the 15th, which I think is tomorrow, and I haven't had very much time to study for it. Pretty nervous because what if I do terribly and then I get ranked much lower than all the other med students? That might actually be detrimental to my application. So I don't quite know what to do about that. But anyway, that's tomorrow. And then I want to ask my supervisor here for another standardized letter of recommendation. And we worked on a few shifts together. I just didn't have the guts to go up to him and ask. So I am mustering up the energy and the courage to do that because it's already halfway through the month and that doesn't leave too much time to do it. I might actually shoot him an email today and we'll see how that goes. So those are the residency application things that I've been thinking about. It's been a lot. It's weighing on my mind heavily. I've honestly not had the greatest sleep, what with my demonic cat waking me up at 4 or 5 every morning and all of the stress related to this. And I cannot wait for September to be over. Also, I didn't mention the final thing. I promise it's the last thing. I have to put together a list of residency programs to actually apply to. So for emergency medicine, there are 267, I believe, 267 programs, which is a lot. And I plan to apply to about 125, 130 of those. Now it's a matter of choosing which ones to apply to and which ones to not apply to. For starters, I have the emergency medicine program spreadsheet from last year that I'll be looking through, and I'm also using Match a Residence platform to figure out which ones are the more friendly and less friendly ones. Match a Resident has this one little filter option titled, quote, says they take IMGs but do not currently have any IMGs. So just out of curiosity, I flicked that filter on to see how many programs fall into that category, and about half, a little more than half, fall into that category of the 267. So even though I will be applying to some programs that don't currently have IMGs, I think it's a very good place to start because at least I'll be able to see with quite a bit of confidence what programs are actually more open to IMGs and what programs say they are but have never taken an IMG before and probably would not take me as the first one. So that's my plan of action right now. In the coming days, I will be submitting my personal statement to residency experts, and hopefully they will expert the hell out of it, excuse my language, and they will show me exactly the ways that I can improve or things I could take out, maybe save some space. I'm pretty excited for that. And then I will seriously start putting together a program list. I've already selected a few programs that I know I want to apply to. These are all the programs that I attended some meet and greet virtual online sessions for and stuff like that. But in all honesty, that's only, let's say, 20 programs. And I need to apply, or I want to apply to over 100. So I've still got a ton of work to do. And, you know, they say apply broadly, but they also say apply wise. So it does take a bit of time to research each of these programs and see what you're getting yourself into and what you're throwing your money at. So anyway, that's on my to-do list. That, and of course, keep working. So yeah, can't wait to see you guys for the next update. I'll probably share an update right after applications open and just check in with you all and see how everything's going for you guys. And now I'm headed home to sleep, so I cannot wait for that. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.